In this lecture, we'll take a look at the Olmec civilization, one of the earliest and most powerful civilizations in Mesoamerica. The word Mesoamerica means Middle America, and this refers to the regions of modern-day southern Mexico and Central America. It's difficult to define Mesoamerica as a distinct geographical region, and you will find a variety of attempts to do so. The term really is best used to describe a cultural region rather than a specific geographic location. This map shows the general boundaries of the region we will be referring to as Mesoamerica in this lecture and in the course. Geography plays more of a role in distinguishing between various cultures and subcultures, especially those in highland and lowland regions. As you can see in this map, Mesoamerica contains a wide variety of landforms, ecological systems, and climates. In regions with lower elevations, typically subtropical and tropical climates are found, as would be the case on the coastlines on the Pacific Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico and toward the Caribbean. Highland regions typically exhibit greater variety in climates. There are areas of dry tropical climate, there are cold mountainous climates, and temperate climates. Precipitation also varies widely in the region. The Oaxaca region and North Yucatan Peninsula are quite dry, while the southern Pacific and Caribbean lowlands are extremely humid with very heavy annual rainfall. The Olmec people were the first noteworthy civilization, at least that we have discovered, in what is modern-day Mexico. The Olmec lived in the tropical valleys of south-central Mexico from approximately 1400 BCE to 400 BCE. There are some archaeological sites that push those dates a little further back, but the heyday seems to be in this 1,000-year span here. The Olmec are noted for the development of an innovative model of city-state. The Mesoamerican Calendar was an invention of the Olmec, and we will discuss that in further detail later in the lecture. The Olmec also independently developed a concept of zero as a mathematical expression. The Olmec developed a rudimentary writing system, and they were also noted for the invention of an influential Mesoamerican ballgame. The Nahuatl word Olmeca means rubber people, and this name, which was given to the Olmecs long after their culture had passed, referred to the ballgame they invented. In the game, a 3 to 10 pound rubber ball was used. Rules appear to have differed widely over time and region by region. In some forms, it was played something like volleyball or perhaps racquetball. There was an element in some regions that was somewhat similar to basketball. Sometimes losers of the game were sacrificed, so the game took on profound implications. A city-state's team would be fighting for their civic pride and possibly their own lives because of the ritual sacrifice element sometimes at play. A number of historians, though, make the argument that the Mesoamerican ballgame served as a sort of proxy war. This was a way to settle disputes without the bloodshed of actual warfare. The Mesoamerican Calendar, another feature of the Olmecs, and a feature that would be picked up by other civilizations like the Maya later. This used a base 20 counting system. There would be 20 periods of 13 days each for a total of 260 days. It's actually a dual calendar system. This particular 260-day sequence was used for divination, and these calendars predicted things like unlucky and lucky days. They kept track of the best times for planting and harvest. They accounted for feast days and marked the celebration of religious rituals. And there were 5 days per year that were designated unlucky. So I suppose you wouldn't be buying lottery tickets on those days. Every 52 years, this calendar, this 260-day calendar, would match up with the solar calendar, kind of like what we do with centuries. If you think about a year and then this cyclical period of time later, This 52-year cycle was known as the calendar round, when the 260 and 365 calendars would line up. There has been a flurry of interest in the Mesoamerican calendars in the year 2012 due to some really poor research on the part of a researcher. However, reputable archaeologists and historians long since debunked this poor research involved in the so-called 2012 prophecy. Obsidian is an igneous rock formed by cooling lava. It's very hard and very brittle, and it fractures with very sharp edges. It was highly prized in Mesoamerica. The Olmecs and other Mesoamerican cultures used obsidian for cutting and piercing tools. They also made a type of sword with obsidian blades known as a maquahuitl. That's Macuahuitl. The maquahuitl could cause deadly injuries. It sort of fused the razor-like edge of an obsidian blade with the jagged cut of a serrated knife. Today, some surgeons actually prefer surgical scalpel blades made with obsidian due to the especially fine and sharp cutting edges. This map depicts the geographical center of Olmec culture. The sites in yellow are villages and towns that have been identified by archaeologists. The smaller red dots represent places where artifacts or art have been found that were not in villages or towns. The names listed here are modern names, as we are unfamiliar with the names that the Olmecs used. The largest and likely the most powerful of these early cities was La Venta, which you can see just slightly to the right of center, near the Tomala River. La Venta reached the height of its power about 900 BCE. The city had a run of about 500 years as the dominant urban center in Mesoamerica, and the city was largely abandoned about 400 BCE. La Venta appears to have been both a political and a religious center. There's a great pyramid over 100 feet tall located at this archaeological site. There are also some unusual stone mosaic formations that continue to puzzle researchers. Perhaps the most famous of the artifacts at the La Venta site are the four colossal stone heads, one of which you see depicted here. A total of 17 of these colossal heads have been unearthed in the Olmec area. The La Venta heads are thought to have been created between about 850 BCE and 700 BCE. Some of these stones are up to 10 feet in height, and they weigh several tons. The massive size of the stones has led to significant conjecture about how the Olmec might have been able to transport these heavy blocks of stone, especially considering the fact that the quarry for the stone that was used in the sculptures of La Venta was located over 50 miles away. Certainly there would have been a large labor force that would have been necessary to transport this stone. Each of the stone heads wears headgear that, to me, being a sports fan, kind of resembles old American-style football helmets. The helmets were probably worn by warriors. They probably served to protect the wearer in combat. Perhaps they were worn also in the Mesoamerican Ballgame. Most historians and archaeologists believe that these sculptures depict Olmec rulers. There are, I should note, a handful of conspiracy theorists who argue that these have African features on the face, or perhaps Polynesian facial features, suggesting that these might have been carved to honor travelers from distant regions. But I don't know of any reputable historians or archaeologists who make this case, especially given the fact that the materials were all from the region. And then there's the issue when it comes to art and sculpture of artistic conventions. And if you were to, for example, look at the newspaper, at political cartoons, there are all sorts of features that might be exaggerated. And this is true throughout human history. We don't always attempt in our art to create as lifelike of a structure or as lifelike of a depiction as we possibly can. There are many artistic conventions along the way. Anyway, that brings to a close our brief examination of Olmec culture.